David Carter's shuttle slowly descended through the lavender-colored clouds of Zithera. The planet was alive with light and motion, even from orbit. Its twin suns painted the sky in shades of gold and violet, casting a surreal glow over the sprawling city below. Crystalline towers reached toward the heavens, reflecting both suns in dazzling patterns. David had seen concept images of alien worlds before, but nothing compared to the reality stretching beneath him. As the human diplomat, he carried not only the weight of his own expectations but the hopes of humanity. This was humanity's first official contact with Zithera, a civilization known for its intelligence, advanced technology, and strict traditions. David had trained for years, studying alien cultures, languages, and protocols. Yet nothing could truly prepare him for what awaited him. The shuttle touched down gently on a floating platform above the city's main square. As the hatch opened, a rush of warm, fragrant air greeted him. It smelled faintly sweet, like blooming flowers on Earth mixed with a mineral sharpness that hinted at the planet's unique atmosphere. David stepped out carefully, eyes wide, marveling at the flowing architecture. The buildings seemed alive, bending and shifting slightly as if breathing. "Welcome, Ambassador David Carter," said a voice behind him. He turned to see two Zitheran attendants approaching. Their skin shimmered softly, a mix of pale silver and hints of blue. Their eyes were larger than human eyes, deep and expressive, capable of conveying both thought and emotion in a glance. They moved with a grace that made David feel clumsy by comparison. "You will follow us to the royal palace," the taller of the two said. "Her Majesty Queen Lyria has prepared a special welcome." David swallowed nervously. He had been briefed on Zitheran customs, but even so, he hadn't expected to be offered a special welcome directly from the Queen. In Zitheran tradition, distinguished guests often received gifts, but the scale and nature of this gift were a secret until the guest arrived. As they walked, David noticed the city's residents moving around him. Zitherans were taller than humans, their movements smooth and deliberate. Some rode hovering vehicles while others seemed to glide effortlessly over the ground, their feet never quite touching it. Each person he passed gave him a curious but respectful glance. David realized that on this planet, strangers were rare and visitors from another world even rarer. The palace emerged like a vision from a dream. It was a massive structure of crystalline spires, floating terraces, and luminous walkways that stretched across open air. The walls shifted color slightly as he approached, from pale green to a soft amber, reflecting his presence as if the building itself recognized him. David felt a mixture of awe and anxiety. This was not only the seat of power, but the home of Queen Lyria herself. Inside the palace, the halls were lined with glowing panels that displayed scenes of Zithera's history. Explorers charting distant stars, scientists uncovering new technologies, and artists creating breathtaking works. The attendants led him past these displays, explaining their significance in soft, melodic voices. David tried to absorb everything, his mind racing with questions about the civilization he had come to represent humanity to. Finally, they reached the throne chamber. The room was enormous, with a ceiling that seemed to disappear into the sky. Light from the twin suns filtered through crystalline panels, casting patterns across the floor. At the far end of the hall sat Queen Lyria. She was immediately striking even from a distance. Her form was elegant and commanding, her skin glowing faintly as if lit from within. Her eyes, larger than human eyes, seemed to see everything at once. David felt a shiver of anticipation and nerves. The attendants paused, bowing deeply before speaking. "Your presence honors us, Ambassador David Carter. Queen Lyria wishes to speak with you privately." David's stomach tightened. He had known this day would be extraordinary, but the reality was overwhelming. He nodded, forcing his nerves into a polite posture of respect. The attendants gestured toward a separate chamber within the throne room, a private area that seemed almost suspended in light. As David entered the chamber, he realized that this was more than a meeting. The room was designed for comfort and conversation, with soft, glowing surfaces and an open view of the city below. The air hummed faintly with energy, making it feel alive. Queen Lyria rose from her throne, her movement fluid and graceful. She approached him, and David could see the intelligence in her eyes, a mind that had witnessed centuries of Zithera's history. Her voice when she spoke was calm and resonant, carrying both authority and warmth. "Ambassador David Carter," she said, "we welcome you to Zithera. Our people have observed humanity from afar, and we recognize your courage and ingenuity." As a gesture of respect, you are granted a traditional honor, one night in the presence of the Queen herself. It is not a reward for pleasure, but an opportunity for understanding. You will share your knowledge, your perspective, and learn ours in return. David blinked. He had been told of Zitharan customs, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. He quickly bowed, careful to show respect. Your Majesty, it is an honor. I will do my best to represent humanity with dignity and respect. Lyria inclined her head, a subtle gesture of approval. That is all we ask. Tonight we will speak, learn, and understand each other. Your people's strength and spirit are of interest to us, Ambassador. Let us begin the exchange. The night unfolded slowly. Lyria shared stories of Zithara's history, their triumphs and mistakes, their philosophies of leadership, and their approach to science and technology. David listened intently, absorbing every detail. In turn, he shared humanity's story, how people had struggled, fought, and innovated, how art and culture thrived alongside science, and how humans balanced ambition with compassion. At first, the conversation was formal. David carefully measured his words, aware that he represented not only himself but his entire species. Lyria listened thoughtfully, asking probing questions that tested his understanding of diplomacy, ethics, and leadership. She was patient, but her curiosity was sharp. David realized she was not merely polite, she was studying humanity through him. As hours passed, the tension between them eased. David began to see Lyria not only as a ruler but as an individual, intelligent, thoughtful, and curious. She asked questions about human emotions, creativity, and decision-making. David explained how humans often learned through trial and error, through failure as much as success. Lyria considered his words carefully, nodding slowly. This is why we value this tradition, she said softly. The night is not about ceremony alone, but about understanding. A guest who can share knowledge and insight is far more honored than one who merely receives gifts. David smiled, feeling a sense of relief. This was what he had trained for. Not just diplomacy in the traditional sense, but a real exchange of ideas and understanding. He realized that the gift of the night was not a reward for him, but a test of humanity's ability to engage, learn, and grow alongside an advanced civilization. As the twin suns dipped toward the horizon, casting long shadows across the chamber, David reflected on the enormity of the moment. He was not just a diplomat. He was humanity's ambassador to a civilization far beyond anything on Earth. Every word, every gesture mattered. Every idea shared could influence the future relationship between their worlds. By the time the first stars began to appear in Zithara's twin night sky, David felt a quiet confidence. The night had begun as a formal duty, but it had transformed into a profound learning experience. He had glimpsed not only Zithara's greatness, but also the potential for humanity to rise to the occasion. As Lyria bid him a short rest before continuing their exchange, David found himself gazing out at the city below. The crystalline towers reflected the stars, and for the first time he truly felt the scale of the universe and the responsibility he carried. This night would shape not just his career, but the destiny of humanity among the stars, and so, with the soft glow of Zithara's city surrounding him, David prepared for the night ahead, ready to continue a dialogue that could bridge worlds and prove that humanity had a place among the stars. The chamber was quiet now, lit by the soft glow of floating panels that hummed gently in the air. David Carter rested in a comfortable seat, trying to calm his racing thoughts. The events of the evening had been overwhelming. Meeting Queen Lyria, understanding Zithara's traditions, and realizing the immense responsibility he carried as humanity's representative. But even in that quiet moment, he could not help but feel anticipation for the conversations yet to come. Queen Lyria returned shortly after, her presence as commanding and elegant as before. She did not sit immediately. Instead, she paced slowly, her movements smooth, deliberate, and almost mesmerizing. David noticed the faint shimmer along her skin, as if the light itself was drawn to her. She stopped a few feet from him, studying his expression with those large, perceptive eyes. "Ambassador," she said softly, "we have spent the early hours discussing our histories. Now let us explore ideas, philosophy, and the questions that shape our civilizations. Your people are young, yet I see resilience and creativity. I wish to understand how your species thinks, dreams, and adapts." David straightened, feeling a surge of responsibility. "Your Majesty," he replied, Humans are not perfect, but we have a deep drive to survive, learn, and create. We make mistakes, but we also find ways to overcome them. We value freedom, curiosity, and cooperation. Those qualities have allowed us to thrive even in difficult circumstances. Lyria nodded, her expression thoughtful. Curiosity and cooperation are important qualities indeed. On Zithra, we value knowledge, harmony, and foresight. But our civilization has endured because we have learned to balance individual talent with collective responsibility. Your words suggest humanity has the potential to do the same, though in a different way. David leaned forward, encouraged. Yes, Your Majesty. Humans are adaptable. We may not have the longevity or stability of your civilization, but we have creativity and determination. We can improvise solutions in ways even highly advanced systems cannot anticipate. Lyria's eyes sparkled with interest. Adaptability is a rare strength. Tell me, Ambassador, how do humans handle conflict? How do you maintain order without the long history of guidance that Zithra enjoys? David paused, considering the answer carefully. Conflict is a part of life. We resolve it in many ways, through discussion, compromise, and sometimes competition. Our societies are diverse, and that diversity can lead to tension, but it also produces innovation. We learn from our conflicts, and we find ways to create rules and systems that protect the many, while respecting individual rights. Lyria's expression softened. It seems your people are guided by both instinct and intellect. That balance is difficult to achieve. On Zithra, our systems are designed to minimize chaos, but they can also limit individual expression. Perhaps that is why we value discussions like these with guests from other worlds. David smiled faintly, feeling the connection deepen. I think there is wisdom in both approaches. Structure can guide us, but creativity allows growth. Both are necessary. Humanity has learned this through trial and error. For the next several hours, their discussion moved from history and philosophy to science and technology. Lyria described Zithra's advancements in energy manipulation, artificial intelligence, and interstellar travel. David shared humanity's achievements in medicine, environmental management, and space exploration. They compared approaches, debated methods, and exchanged ideas. Though their civilizations were separated by vast distances and generations of development, a common curiosity bridged the gap. At one point, Lyria posed a question that made David pause. Ambassador, she said, what motivates humans to risk everything for a cause even when the odds are against them? David considered this carefully. Humans are driven by connection and purpose. We protect what we love, fight for what we believe is right, and endure hardships to build a better future. It is not always logical, but it is powerful. The bonds between people, families, and communities give our lives meaning. Lyria's expression shifted slightly, as if she was seeing something new. I see. That is different from Zithran motivations, which often focus on preservation and progress. Humans seem to value emotion as much as intellect, that is, intriguing. David realized that the Queen was not only listening but learning. Yes, Your Majesty. Our emotions can guide us, sometimes even against reason, but they also allow us to create, inspire, and adapt. Without them, we might survive, but we would not truly thrive. A soft silence fell over the chamber. The twin suns outside were now fully below the horizon, and Zithra's night sky shimmered with countless stars. The city below glowed faintly, and David could see the gentle motion of the palace's floating walkways and terraces. The scene was serene, yet the weight of responsibility remained heavy on his shoulders. Ambassador David, Lyria said after a pause, you speak with honesty and insight. It is rare to find a guest who can truly represent an entire species with clarity. I sense that humanity has potential beyond what we had anticipated. Perhaps there is more we can learn from each other than either of us imagined. David felt a quiet pride. Your Majesty, I am honored to hear that. Humanity has much to learn, and I hope that our civilizations can work together, sharing knowledge and experience. I believe we can achieve great things if we respect each other's strengths. Lyria nodded slowly. Respect is the foundation. Tonight you have shown both courage and humility. These qualities are as valuable as any technology or knowledge. They make you and your people worthy of consideration as partners in the galaxy. Their conversation gradually shifted to lighter topics: art, music, and culture. Lyria demonstrated Zithran art forms, including holographic sculptures that changed shape with thought, and musical harmonics that could influence emotion. David shared Earth's music, its variety and ability to express joy, sorrow, and hope. They laughed softly at differences and marveled at similarities. Despite the vast differences between their worlds, they discovered shared values: curiosity, creativity, and a desire to connect with others. David realized that the night was more than ceremonial. It was a bridge between species, a chance to show that humans were more than primitive explorers. They were thinkers, creators, and partners. Hours passed like minutes. David lost track of time as he engaged with Lyria, learning about her people, her responsibilities, and the history that shaped her perspective. He shared stories of Earth, of humanity's triumphs and mistakes, and he sensed that the Queen valued his honesty. At one point, Lyria stood and gestured toward a balcony overlooking the city. "Ambassador, you have shared much, and we have learned together. Come see Zithra at night from this view. It is a perspective that few outsiders are granted." David followed her. The balcony floated above the palace grounds, supported by energy fields that made it feel weightless. Below, the city sparkled, the crystalline towers catching light from the stars and reflecting it in every direction. He felt a mixture of awe and humility. The beauty of Zithra was beyond words, and standing here with the Queen, he understood the honor he had been granted. "Your world is magnificent," David said quietly. "I have never seen anything like it." Lyria smiled faintly. "And yet, Ambassador, your people have qualities that are equally remarkable. Courage, adaptability, and the ability to dream. Those traits are rare in the universe. They may allow humanity to reach heights even we have not imagined." David felt a warmth of pride and responsibility. He realized that his role was not only to represent humanity, but also to show Zithra that humans were capable of greatness. He thought of his home, the Earth, and of the countless people who had shaped the path that brought him here. The Queen turned to face him, her eyes reflecting both the stars and something deeper, something like trust. "Ambassador, the night is not yet over. There is more to discuss, more to learn. But know this: you have shown qualities that will be remembered. Your words, your thoughts, your honesty, they have made a difference. In this you honor not only yourself but your people." David nodded, humbled. "Your Majesty, I will continue to do my best. I understand the importance of this night, and I will carry its lessons with me always." They returned to the chamber, continuing their conversation late into Zithra's night. Each exchange revealed more about the values, philosophies, and hopes of both civilizations. David spoke of humanity's dreams of space exploration, unity, and learning from mistakes. Lyria shared Zithra's hopes for peaceful alliances, shared knowledge, and the evolution of their society. By the time the twin suns began to rise again on the horizon, marking the end of the night, David felt a profound sense of accomplishment. He had not only survived the test of the ceremonial night, but he had also formed a genuine connection with the Queen. This connection, built on dialogue, respect, and understanding, was more valuable than any diplomatic document or agreement. Queen Lyria inclined her head in acknowledgement. "Ambassador David Carter, this night has been a meaningful exchange. You have demonstrated the qualities we value in allies and leaders. May your people continue to grow, learn, and reach for the stars." David bowed deeply. "Your Majesty, I am grateful for your trust and your time. Humanity will remember this night, and we will strive to live up to the example you have shown." The soft glow of Zithra's palace had shifted with the rising twin suns. David Carter had spent most of the night in deep conversation with Queen Lyria, learning about Zithra's history, philosophy, and society. What had begun as a ceremonial night of honor had become a true exchange of ideas, and David felt both exhausted and exhilarated. He was beginning to think the night could end peacefully when suddenly the chamber trembled slightly. The floating panels flickered, and a faint alarm sounded in the distance. David froze, his senses alert. This was no ordinary disturbance. The palace's energy systems rarely faltered. Lyria's eyes narrowed as she scanned the room. "Ambassador David, remain calm. It appears there is an unexpected threat within the palace." David swallowed hard. "A threat, Your Majesty?" he asked, his voice steady despite the surge of adrenaline. "What kind of threat?" Lyria's gaze did not waver. "We are not yet certain. Some factions within Zithra do not agree with peace and diplomacy with humans. They may attempt to disrupt this visit. Follow me." David followed her as she moved with the same grace and authority that had captivated him all night. The Queen's presence alone seemed to command the palace's automated defenses into action. Doors sealed, energy shields activated, and drones began to hover near the ceiling, their sensors scanning for intruders. They reached a secure chamber, a small room reinforced with energy fields that made it almost impenetrable. Outside, David could hear the low hum of security systems responding to the disturbance. He realized this was the first time he had seen Zithera's defenses in action, subtle, efficient, and precise. "Ambassador," Lyria said calmly, "I will manage the palace defenses, but I need your insight. You have experience in strategy and negotiation. Observe the situation and advise if necessary." David's heart raced, but he nodded. This was a situation where human adaptability might matter. "Yes, Your Majesty. I'll do my best." The chamber's transparent walls provided a view of the palace corridors. Figures moved quickly, but David could not immediately recognize them. They were not ordinary citizens. These were trained individuals attempting to bypass the security systems. "They are trying to reach the council chamber," Lyria said, her voice steady but sharp. "If they succeed, they could disrupt the diplomatic process entirely. We must prevent that." David scanned the data on the security panels. He noticed patterns in the intruders' movements, predictable points where they slowed or hesitated. Using his knowledge of tactical analysis, he suggested, "Your Majesty, if we redirect the drones to these choke points, we can slow them down without risking confrontation. It will contain them until security reinforcements arrive." Lyria's eyes met his. "A human strategy. Interesting. We will implement it." Within minutes, the drones adjusted their positions, forming barriers and subtly guiding the intruders into areas where they could be isolated. The intruders paused, clearly confused by the sudden change in their path. David realized that his analysis was effective. The palace's AI and human intuition worked together seamlessly. From behind the secure walls, David watched the events unfold. The intruders were clearly trained but not prepared for coordinated resistance. The drones used non-lethal energy pulses to immobilize them temporarily, while security teams neutralized the threat. The crisis passed quickly, without anyone being harmed. Lyria turned to him once the danger had been contained. "Ambassador David, your input was valuable. Your people's perspective, even in moments of crisis, can provide insights we might overlook." David exhaled, feeling a mix of relief and pride. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only applied what I have learned from observing strategy and human adaptability. I am glad it helped." Lyria regarded him with a thoughtful expression. "This demonstrates what I have suspected. Humans may lack centuries of advanced technology, but your species' flexibility, creativity, and courage are assets that cannot be underestimated. You think differently, and that difference can be a strength." David felt a sense of validation. All his training, all the preparation for this diplomatic mission, had led to this moment. Not only had he represented humanity well, but he had contributed to the safety and security of the palace itself. "Your people have much potential," Lyria continued. "Perhaps this is why I insisted on the night of conversation, to understand not only your words but your actions, to see the true qualities of humanity in both discussion and crisis." David nodded. "Your Majesty, it is an honor to be trusted in this way. I hope that humanity can continue to prove itself worthy of such trust." Lyria smiled faintly, a rare softness in her expression. "Trust must be earned, and you have done so tonight. You have shown insight, calm under pressure, and respect. These are qualities that speak louder than any gift or ceremony." As the immediate threat passed, David and Lyria returned to the main chamber. The palace slowly resumed its quiet rhythm, and the soft hum of energy fields filled the air. Though the night had been interrupted, it had also revealed something important. Even advanced civilizations like Zithera faced challenges that required more than technology. They required judgment, courage, and collaboration. David realized that the night's events had strengthened the connection between him and the Queen. He had been part of something larger than diplomacy alone. He had helped protect a civilization and proven that humans could contribute meaningfully to interstellar cooperation. Lyria spoke again, her voice calm but commanding. "Ambassador, I must commend you. The way you remained composed and offered solutions reflects qualities that Zithra values. Your actions tonight will be remembered, not just as a demonstration of skill, but as proof of humanity's character." David felt a quiet pride, tempered by humility. "Your Majesty, I am grateful for your guidance and trust. I will continue to learn and do my best to represent humanity well." The conversation then shifted back to discussion, though now with a deeper level of engagement. David and Lyria explored topics of leadership, ethics, and diplomacy, this time framed by the night's events. They discussed how different societies handle threats, maintain unity, and nurture growth. Lyria shared examples from Zithra's past, moments when internal conflict threatened progress, and how wise leadership had preserved stability. David contributed insights from human history, explaining how societies often learned from crises, how resilience and collaboration were key to survival, and how people could turn adversity into progress. Lyria listened intently, occasionally asking probing questions that challenged David to think beyond conventional solutions. By the time the sun rose fully over Zithra, marking the transition to a new day, David realized that the night had transformed him. What began as a ceremonial experience had become a profound test of diplomacy, intelligence, and adaptability. He had seen the power of collaboration, the value of perspective, and the importance of courage under pressure. Lyria turned to him one final time before the morning's formalities. "Ambassador David, tonight has proven more than we anticipated. You have shown not only the potential of humanity, but also the value of trust, respect, and insight. Remember this night, for it will be a foundation for the future relationship between our worlds." David bowed deeply. "Your Majesty, I will carry these lessons with me always. Humanity will not forget this night, nor the wisdom and generosity you have shared." As he prepared to leave the chamber, David reflected on the events that had unfolded. The night had started as an honor, transformed into conversation, and culminated in a test of skill and judgment. He realized that this was exactly what humanity needed, the chance to prove itself not just in words, but in action. Stepping onto the balcony once more, he looked out over Zithra's city. The crystalline towers glimmered in the morning light, and the air seemed charged with possibility. He felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that humanity's future in the galaxy depended not only on technology and ambition, but on courage, intelligence, and the ability to build meaningful connections with other civilizations. Lyria stood beside him quietly. "Ambassador," she said, "the night is ending, but the relationship is just beginning. Your presence has already left an impression that will guide future generations. Continue to lead with wisdom and empathy, and humanity may achieve greatness beyond what we imagined." David nodded. "Your Majesty, I will do my best, and I will ensure that humanity understands the value of this opportunity. This night has taught me much about our potential and the responsibility that comes with it." Together they watched as Zithra's city came alive with the energy of a new day. The events of the night, conversation, learning, and the unexpected threat, had shown David the true meaning of diplomacy and the strength of human adaptability. He felt ready to face the challenges ahead, knowing that he had gained not only experience but the trust of a civilization far older and wiser than his own. As the morning light bathed the palace in warmth, David felt a quiet satisfaction. He had survived the night's tests, learned from Queen Lyria, and contributed to the safety and stability of Zithra. More than that, he had proven that humans, despite being young in the galaxy, could rise to challenges and earn respect. The night had been a gift of insight, trust, and opportunity, and David knew that it would mark the beginning of a new chapter for both his own journey and humanity's place among the stars. The first rays of Zithra's twin suns bathed the palace in soft golden light. David Carter stood on the balcony, looking out over the city that had hosted him for the past night. His mind replayed the events, the honor of being granted the Queen's company, the deep conversations and the unexpected crisis that had tested his judgment. Each moment had been a lesson, shaping his understanding of diplomacy, culture, and the true meaning of trust. Queen Lyria approached silently, her presence as calm and composed as it had been the night before. She did not speak immediately. Instead, she gestured toward the city below. "Ambassador," she said finally, "you have spent a night in my presence, not as a guest for ceremony alone, but as a participant in understanding. You have shown qualities that few of my people possess: honesty, courage, and the ability to learn quickly. These are qualities that make a civilization strong." David bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, it has been the greatest honor of my life. I came to learn, to represent humanity, and to share what we have achieved. I never imagined that this night would teach me so much about your people and indeed about humanity itself." Lyria's gaze softened. "It is often in learning that one discovers the greatest truths. Humans are young in the galaxy, but your adaptability and spirit are remarkable. I have observed many species in my time, Ambassador, but few can face challenges, converse with openness, and demonstrate courage simultaneously. You have done all three." David felt a mixture of pride and humility. "Your Majesty, humanity strives to grow and improve. We know we have much to learn, and this experience has shown me how much potential we hold. I hope that we can work together to build a strong relationship between our worlds." The Queen inclined her head. "Indeed, our civilizations can learn much from each other. Tonight has been a beginning, a foundation for future collaboration. But more than that, it has been an opportunity to see your character. Diplomacy is not only about words, but also about actions, insight, and integrity. You have demonstrated all of these." David's thoughts drifted to the events of the night, the calm way he had analyzed the palace threat, the thoughtful dialogue he had shared, and the moments when he had listened as much as he spoke. He realized that this night had not been a mere formality, but a test of human potential. And he had passed. "You have earned more than honor, Ambassador," Lyria continued. "You have earned understanding and trust. This night will be remembered not as a ceremonial event, but as a turning point in the history of our peoples. Let this knowledge guide your future actions. Let it remind you that respect, insight, and courage are universal values." David nodded. "Your Majesty, I will carry that lesson always. I hope that humanity can live up to the trust you have placed in me tonight." Lyria motioned toward a ceremonial platform at the center of the balcony. A small glowing crystal floated above it, radiating soft energy. "This is a token of our meeting," she explained. "It symbolizes the connection formed tonight and the mutual respect between our peoples. Keep it as a reminder of what can be achieved when two civilizations choose understanding over fear." David stepped forward carefully, reaching out to accept the crystal. As he held it in his hands, he felt a faint warmth, as if the object itself carried the energy of Zithra's civilization. It was beautiful and alien, yet familiar in its symbolism. "Your Majesty, I will treasure this," he said quietly. "It will remind me of the responsibility I carry, and the potential of humanity to rise to challenges." The Queen's expression was unreadable for a moment, then softened into a faint smile. "Ambassador, tonight has proven that humanity has the capacity for greatness. You have represented your species well, and I am confident that future generations will honor this night as a turning point. Remember, the value of our collaboration lies not only in technology or trade, but in the shared understanding of who we are and what we can become." David nodded, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. The night had begun with awe and curiosity, moved through dialogue and mutual learning, and culminated in a profound recognition of human potential. He realized that diplomacy was not merely a matter of negotiation. It was about trust, integrity, and the courage to show one's true character. As they stood together, David noticed the city below stirring to life. Zitherans moved along floating walkways, their movements graceful and precise. The palace seemed to hum with energy, alive with the rhythm of an advanced civilization. He understood now that his role was not only to represent humanity's achievements, but to demonstrate the qualities that would earn respect in a galaxy full of challenges and opportunities. "Ambassador," Lyria said, breaking his reverie, "before you depart, know this. The night may be over, but our relationship has only begun. You have laid the groundwork for cooperation, understanding, and trust. Humanity has much to offer, and I hope your species will continue to grow and thrive, learning not only from its successes, but also from its mistakes. David felt a profound gratitude. Your Majesty, we will strive to honor this connection. I will ensure that humanity understands the significance of this night and the lessons it offers. We have seen what can be achieved when civilizations choose dialogue, respect, and empathy. The Queen inclined her head in acknowledgement. Good, then we are aligned in purpose. Go now, Ambassador, and carry the spirit of Zithra with you. Share our wisdom and let it guide your actions in the years to come. David bowed deeply, then turned to leave the balcony. As he walked back into the palace corridors, he felt a mixture of accomplishment and responsibility. This night had been more than an honor. It had been a bridge between worlds, a demonstration of human courage and wisdom, and a chance to prove that humanity could rise to challenges even among advanced civilizations. Before departing, David paused once more to look back at Queen Lyria. She stood gracefully, her presence commanding and serene. In that moment, he realized that the respect he had earned was mutual. They had learned from each other, shared insights, and formed a connection that would outlast this single night. When he finally stepped onto his shuttle, crystal token in hand, David felt the weight of history upon him. This night would be remembered not just as a ceremonial event, but as the moment humanity had shown Zithra, and perhaps the galaxy, that it possessed intelligence, adaptability, and integrity. The shuttle lifted off, gliding smoothly into the sky. David looked down one last time at the crystalline towers of the palace and the glowing city below. He felt hope, pride, and determination. Humanity had been tested, and in the eyes of Queen Lyria and her people it had shown promise. As Zithra receded into the distance, David allowed himself a quiet reflection. The night had been extraordinary, not because of ceremony or tradition, but because it had revealed the truth. Humans, though young in the galaxy, could rise to challenges with courage, intelligence, and integrity. They had the ability to learn, adapt, and connect with civilizations far beyond their own. And in that realization, David felt a renewed sense of purpose. Humanity's journey among the stars had only just begun, but the night with Queen Lyria had set the tone for what was possible. Diplomacy, understanding, and mutual respect could open doors to opportunities that no one species could achieve alone. As the shuttle entered Zithra's orbit and prepared for interstellar travel, David Carter knew that this night would stay with him forever. It was a night of learning, challenge, and connection, a night that proved humans were capable, resilient, and worthy of their place among the stars. He gazed out at the endless expanse of space, the crystal token glowing softly in his hands. It was a reminder of the night, the lessons learned, and the trust earned. Humanity had taken its first true step into a larger universe, and David Carter had the honor of carrying that experience forward. The stars stretched endlessly before him, and for the first time David felt that humanity's potential was limitless. The night with Queen Lyria had not only welcomed him to Zithra, it had welcomed humanity to the galaxy. And with that, the shuttle leapt into the cosmos, carrying not only a diplomat and a token of trust, but the promise of a future shaped by courage, understanding, and the enduring spirit of humanity.